Merry Meet, and welcome to the daily reading for all signs for today, the 1st of December 2024. Happy December, everybody. And let's see. Okay, that's better. This is Ariel, and I am reading today with the CBD Tarot de Marseille. Let's purify with this old standby 4711. I have links to purchase each of these products right in the video description of this video on my YouTube channel, should you desire. Let's see what's in the cards for everybody today. Starting off with the 5 of Cups, followed by the 9 of Wands, and then we get the Hermit card. So go straight to Hermit and you win. Go straight to the Hermit today, trying not to sort things out all by ourselves. That's why many of us get so fatigued, is because we've got, all of these inner conflicts. And welcome to the human race. It's almost as if, people say, I'm really down today. It's probably that you're down every day. It's just that you happen to be noticing it. It's like it's not normal for human beings to be at peace and to be happy and to be joyous. And if they are, it's very fleeting. It's very sort of like abnormal, right? Let's just be clear on that. Let's be honest with ourselves. So when you do find that inner peace, when you do find joy, it's probably because you've worked. You've done a lot of work on yourself. So it's saying that if you're feeling that way, welcome to the club. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfectly fabulous the way you are, and that you don't need to go through that. None of us do. If we go right straight to the Hermit, if we go right straight to that inner guide, to ask for help, to ask for assistance, to help us, to reinterpret things for us, to show us how to see things in a different way, we don't have to have the fatigue. We don't have to have the upset, the conflict, all of those things. But just realize that when you're doing that, you're unusual. You're unusual. Anybody that, it's just, sometimes I hear people talk about, spiritual stuff, and they make it sound like everybody but me is happy all the time. It's like, no, that's not exactly true. Most of us aren't happy most of the time. And that's not because we're bad. It's because that's the human condition and we don't know any better. And it doesn't need to be that way. So if you're dealing with fatigue and depression and upset and feeling not good enough, feeling inner conflict, all of those things, it's not because you're defective. It's because you've caught that habit that the entire species has had since our so-called fall from grace, which was not really a fall from grace as much as it was a falling asleep. So we don't need to worry about it. We have a way out, we have an inner guide, and everybody has access to that. It's just up to us to listen to it and to recognize that it's there and to ask for its assistance on a regular basis, over and over again. Never making up our minds all by ourselves, but making up our minds in accordance to and in connection with that higher part of our mind, which seems like it's an external deity, or not a deity, but an external guide, an external being sometimes. And that's because it's so different than our ego minds. But it's really actually who we really are at the core. So, but it's sometimes very helpful to perceive it as being separate, because it is outside of the thought system that causes all of this discord, that causes all of this depression, that causes all of this fatigue. And before I get into all of this Knight of Swords talks about how none of us, except for the most enlightened among us, or those who are having an exceptionally good day, like to see other people move beyond their egos. So we all have this, we all conspire in keeping each other down. It's really easy to see that when other people are doing it to us, but it's not so easy for us to notice it when we're doing it to other people. And again, it's not because anybody's bad. It's just the habit. It's just the habit of the species. So as you learn how to move out of trying to solve all of this inner conflict yourself and move into allowing yourself to follow guidance and seeing how easy it can be for you to move out of all of this conflict, don't be surprised if there are other people around you that are very quick to try to help you back into that conflict. Don't judge them. Don't make them wrong or bad, but also don't follow them. Don't follow their cue, because they don't know any better. They don't know any better. It's the blind leading the blind, right? It's sort of like a contagion that we all have. So when you do find, and you will find, it looks like in this reading today, at least moments of peace and understanding and lifting yourself out of all of that conflict and fatigue and feeling really good. That's really your path today. It looks like where many of you are headed today. First of all, know that can be a norm. It doesn't have to just be a today thing. It can be just how you deal with your life from now on, is by consulting that inner guide. And know that people aren't necessarily going to support you in being happy. And don't judge them for it, but also don't fall into it. Don't get sucked into it. You're not being loyal to people by agreeing with them that everything is horrible. And you're not being disloyal to anybody by moving beyond your pain. Okay, so those are really important things to understand. And you're not defective if you're in pain. If you're going through it, that doesn't mean you're bad or that you're not enlightened enough. It just means that you're listening to the other voice. You're listening to the voice of the ego instead of the voice of your inner guide, right? But it's not. It's the ego that'll say, "Oh, look at you! You're so stupid. You're so unevolved." Or look at them; they're so unevolved, right? Those kinds of judgments and conversations internally are never going to be coming from this inner guide. And it's those kinds of conversations internally that help to keep us stuck in those depressive states and in those fatiguing states where we're struggling to find peace. We're struggling to find happiness. And the inner guide says there's no struggle involved with finding happiness. You just drop all that. I'll show you how. And then they pick up this lantern and guide you into the light, guide you into that understanding. Now, losing your impatience is what's the name of the game today. Losing your dissatisfaction. The first step this guide will show you in rising above whatever you're going through is letting it be okay the way it is. Learning how to disassociate and disconnect with the idea that everything's wrong and needs to be fixed. Because as soon as you can let it be the way it is, I'm going to allow everything to be exactly the way it is. Your guide shows you that short circuits it. If you're letting it be fine just the way it is without any need to change it, what that does is it shifts your mind to seeing things in a different way, where it's just natural to drop it. It's just natural to drop the fatigue. It's just natural to drop the conflict. It's just the most natural thing in the world. It's like it's natural for you to wake up in the morning. It's just natural, and you don't have to struggle to wake up in the morning. You just wake up. You just open your eyes. I mean, it may take a while before you're fully awake. I understand that. It may take some coffee, etc. But the act of coming out of sleep is not something you struggle with necessarily. It just happens. And the same thing goes for this dropping of your conflict. It comes naturally if you just let it be. If you just say, I'm going to let everything be exactly the way it is, and relax into it and listen to that inner guide showing you. What that's doing is it's detaching you from the creation of it. Because you're no longer putting energy into, I got to fix it. I got to do this. I got to do that. You're taking all of the energy that you're using to make wrong whatever you're going through. You're taking that out of the equation. Then all of a sudden, what's wrong, quote, quote, wrong, just drops naturally because it's not organic to your system. That's what uncovers this natural magnetism that you have. And a lot of times we are upset because the things in our life aren't right. And the mystery that the inner guide is teaching us today is that if we let it be okay, if we let things be the way they are, then we drop the causative thought processes that are keeping us stuck in not being able to have the things we want. And what that does is it takes all of the interference away from our magnetism, and we draw to us everything that we need, that everything that we truly desire. Just like a magnet draws iron shavings right to itself, it doesn't force it. The magnet doesn't have to do invocations or incantations. It doesn't have to go and herd up the magnetic filings. In fact, if it tried to do that, they wouldn't be as pretty anyway. But if you take the magnet and you just draw it through the sand, the way it picks up those magnetic particles it makes beautiful patterns. And that's what you get. That's what you get. You get that kind of magnetism to every good thing in your life when you are able to drop the conflict. And the teacher is teaching you that the way to drop the conflict is to disassociate from it. And the way you disassociate from it is just to let it be the way it is, to not resist against it. That drops it. It's counterintuitive for us in this world because we've been trained, no, you got to fight, you got to fight, you got to fight. But everybody's fighting and nobody's having a good time. Everybody's fighting and nobody's at peace. So it's not working. And the guide says, but this will. So follow my lead, follow my lantern, and I will show you that whatever's going on in your life, if you can just let it be the way it is, that gives you all the power over it. And you don't need to get back into worrying about what other people think or say once you start enjoying your life. Let them be. Let them be too. All right, what an interesting reading. I love it so much. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I so appreciate you. And we'll see everybody for another daily reading on Wednesday because we are off Monday and Tuesday. See you then. Blessed be.